Hello, everyone, and welcome to World Financial Planning Day. I'm Noel May, the CEO of Financial Planning Standards Board, the nonprofit standard-setting body for the global financial planning profession. Thank you all so much for joining us today, as the global financial planning profession comes together to raise awareness of the value of financial planning, the value of having a financial plan, and the value of working with a competent and ethical financial planner. It's hard to believe that we are now well into our second year and quite likely to head into a third year of dealing with the impacts and the uncertainty of the global COVID-19 pandemic. During the pandemic, we've become united as a global community through our shared experience. To varying degrees, people around the world may be feeling stressed because of uncertainty about their employment situation, reduced or lost incomes, concern about an economic downturn or market volatility, or uncertainty about what decisions they should be making to best deal with the current environment while staying on track with future goals. Wherever you are in the world, we wish you health and we wish you financial well-being as we continue to contend with the impacts of ongoing global uncertainty over virus variants, inflation concerns, the uneven timeline for a global economic recovery, and the uncertainty of what exactly the next new normal is going to look and feel like. In the face of uncertainty, people often feel overwhelmed and find security in the things they can control or at the very least plan for. The theme we've adopted for World Financial Planning Day, Live Your Today, Plan Your Tomorrow, speaks to how financial planning and how having a financial plan helps people feel more confident and in control and better able to balance the needs of today with their dreams for tomorrow. 5 years ago, FBSB partnered with the International Organization of Securities Commissions, or IOSCO, to launch World Financial Planning Day as a complement to World Investor Week. We value our partnership with IOSCO as we work together to advance increased consumer financial literacy and financial capability and demonstrate the importance of financial planning and the role the financial planning profession plays in supporting better financial outcomes for citizens all over the world. Together, we want to help educate people about investing and participating in the market, as well as to promote the value of a holistic approach to financial planning and how having a financial plan and how working with the CFP professional can help individuals achieve their financial goals. To hear more about IOSCO, its mission and priorities, and the goals of World Investor Week, it's my great pleasure to introduce Martin Maloney, IOSCO's Secretary General, who has agreed to provide some opening remarks for our program today. Martin's prior roles were as Director General of the Jersey Financial Services Commission, and before that, as Special Advisor on Risk and Regulation to the Central Bank of Ireland. Martin was previously a member of IOSCO's Board of Directors and has been the chair of the Investment Management Standing Committee of the European Securities and Markets Authority. Welcome, Martin. The floor is yours.
No, thank you very much. It really is an honor to make these opening remarks on this event and this day, this World Financial Planning Day, which I think is a really important and helpful event. I'm very conscious that we're actually communicating with many thousands of financial planners, people who have invested in learning the skills and the ability to do this job properly around the world. And that is a great addition and a great part of our World Investor Week program. We started, as you say, World Investor Week about 5 years ago, and it's really become a permanent fixture. And the reason it's become a permanent fixture is because it just works so well. It's the themes that we keep hitting every year really matter to people. Financial planning, education really matters to people. I found one of the things that's most important for us is actually to raise awareness among our own members around the potential of investor education. And our regulator members are busy on a whole range of fronts dealing with lots and lots of different issues. But by asking them to pause for thought, take a minute, think about the potential of good investor education, potential of good investment advice, we are finding that it reaps benefits across the whole year. So it's a really good event. We intend to keep going with it. And Noel, I'm sure we will have your support in continuing to do that, because I know you're very committed to ethical planning and good education for advisors. One of the things it also does is it gets our members talking to each other about some of these issues, because increasingly we need to spread the good ideas that emerge in some parts of the world and need to be spread to other parts of the world. Many of the risks and problems that we face are increasingly global, or at least cross-border. And there are invariably some countries that get ahead of the game. They get a really good idea, they get a good approach. And if we can get them talking to other countries, that really helps us to get people thinking about investor education in a really constructive way. Because there's always a risk with investor education that people think that it's motherhood and apple pie, it doesn't really make any difference. That I think is quite wrong. And it's not our experience at all. We've got two key messages this year in relation to World Investor Week program. The first is around sustainable finance, as you would expect, an absolutely crucial issue that's affecting both institutional investors and retail investors. It's like a new form of ethical investing that's emerging, and we need to help people get their heads around that and deal with all the transition issues when industry is not always in a really good place to provide the necessary disclosures and information. That all takes time to build up. But in the meantime, the demand is there from the investors to try to understand how they can position themselves as ethical investors focused on sustainable finance. And the second area, sadly, is a long-standing theme that I'm sure you have come back to, and we certainly have come back to, is frauds and scams. And COVID-19 has not helped in that regard, let's be honest. The number of scams we've seen in the COVID-19 crisis has really risen. We have published a toolkit to help people to try to deal with that. But the bottom line theme is the same old theme, that information really helps retail investors deal with frauds and scams. If you can recognize the possibility that it's a scam, that will really reduce your vulnerability. And that's actually a good thing for us as regulators and you as financial planners, because there are some key simple messages that you can pass on to investors that will make a real difference when they get that weird text message in, or that funny email in, or they get tempted by a thing that's actually a pyramid scheme and looks like something else. We think ourselves that and this will be gone into in the panel in a lot more detail, that ESG ratings, for example, and issuer disclosure is really going to help in helping retail investors with the sustainable finance issue. But we should also never get away from the importance of financial planning. You know, we plan our careers, we plan our day, we plan our families. Why shouldn't we plan our finance in exactly the same way? You reap benefits from planning. They have a little saying in the American military, you know, it's important to plan, plan, plan. And the first thing you find when you go into battle is your plan doesn't work. But that doesn't mean it was a bad idea to plan. It was a really good idea to plan. And that's a good message for us. You can't predict the vagaries of the financial markets, but if you've planned well, you will do better in the long run. I wish you well, Noel, and the team and everything you're doing today. And I know you have a really good panel coming up now, with including Vasco from our own Committee 8. And I will pass it back to you, if I may, and wish you all the best with the day.
Thank you, Martin, for that overview of IOSCO and its priorities. IOSCO has an ambitious agenda of work before it, and I wish you well in leading the organization as you tackle the various challenges facing financial markets globally, and work to ensure that investors continue to be well protected as they participate in those markets. Rest assured that FPSB, our network of affiliate organizations, and the global community of certified financial planner professionals support you through our mission to benefit the public by establishing, upholding, and promoting worldwide professional standards in financial planning. Okay, next up, we have our global panel with a fantastic moderator from CNBC and a fantastic lineup of speakers from IOSCO's Committee on Retail Investors, from Charles Schwab, and from the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or the OECD, who will share their insights and perspectives on the future of client needs and advice delivery. I'm looking forward to hearing from the panel about the forces affecting the future of financial advice delivery, whether that's the impact of demographic shifts, of changing client expectations, of changing approaches to practice or technology innovations, and to hearing about the role that each of us as practitioners, professional bodies, as employers, consumer protection groups, or as regulators can play to ensure that consumers and investors benefit from financial advice. Before I hand it over to our panel moderator, Janet Alvarez, I want to give a shout out to all of you who are already active on our social media channels today, getting the word out about World Investor Week and World Financial Planning Day. Thank you all so much. And to all of you joining us today, I encourage you to say hi, to comment during the panel event via the chat feature, and let us know what's on your mind on this important day for the global financial planning profession. And of course, remember to join in the discussions on social media using the hashtags WFPD2021 and IOSCO WIW2021. And please don't forget to check out the various virtual and live financial planning events being hosted in your territory by visiting our website at worldfpday.org. Janet Alvarez is a formidable consumer advocate and veteran bilingual financial journalist who serves as deputy business editor of the Philadelphia Inquirer. She serves as a contributor to CNBC, as an anchor for National Public Radio in Philadelphia, and as the executive editor of the personal finance publication Wise Bread. Janet's work focuses on financial literacy, on democratizing investing in personal finance, and on bridging the divide between Wall Street and Main Street. She's a perfect choice to lead today's panel discussion on the future of client needs and advice delivery. Janet, it's great to have you with us today. Thank you for all the work that you do to promote financial literacy and financial well-being. And thanks for agreeing to moderate today's panel. Janet, over to you.
Thank you so much for that warm welcome and introduction. And welcome to everyone watching to today's panel discussion, The Future of Client Needs and Delivery. I'm joined by three people with unique perspectives who I expect to bring some rich debate and interesting insights to today's topic. Let me introduce them to you now. First, please welcome Amy Richardson, CFP, who is the Senior Manager and Financial Planner at Charles Schwab. In her current role, Amy provides training and education to business partners and clients focusing on holistic wealth management. Amy holds the Certified Financial Planner certification and most recently was part of Charles Schwab's centralized planning group, where she led a team of CFP professionals supporting retail clients and branch partners through financial planning. Amy, thank you for joining our panel today.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
Next, please say hello to Miles Larby, the acting head of the Consumer Finance, Insurance, and Pensions Division at the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or the OECD. Miles is responsible for the OECD's policy work related to financial consumer protection, financial education, insurance, and private pensions. He has over 20 years of experience working in financial regulation, consumer protection law and policy, banking, credit, and insurance supervision, and financial education. Miles, welcome and thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Janet. My pleasure.
And our last panelist today is someone who is very influential in the start of World Financial Planning Day. A special welcome to Jose Vasco, Director of the Office of Investor Protection and Assistance at the CVM, Brazil's security regulator. Vasco is the former chairperson of Committee 8 for Retail Investors at the International Organization of Securities Commissions and coordinator of the C8 WIW Working Group. This committee championed World Investor Week, which raises awareness of the importance of investor education and protection, and partnered with FPSV on World Financial Planning Day. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Janet. I am pleased and honored to be here today and also to be here with Miles, who was also the vice chair of C8 when the World Investor Week was launched. Good to see you all.
Thank you all for your participation. It's an honor to have you all here with us today. Earlier this year, FPSB completed global research to better understand the current state of financial planning and to gather information from CFP professionals about their views on and expectations for the future of financial planning practice and changing expectations of financial planning clients. My first question today goes to Amy. Amy, as a CFP practitioner and somebody who trains teams of advisors on how to do holistic financial planning, what skills, abilities, or knowledge should financial planners embrace to be successful in the future?
Great question. So for me, the technical practice and the academic theories of financial planning and those competencies are still critically important as the foundation to a financial plan. However, to make holistic financial planning more successful, we need to weave in the behavior and emotional components of how clients interact with the financial planning experience, really focusing on how are they going to implement those action plan ideas and recommendations that you've identified to help them create a better financial future for themselves and their families. I believe being a successful financial planner today and tomorrow will require a combination of this art and science, if you will. And our craft is asking advisors and planning practitioners to lean into understanding these clients' emotions around certain topics. I think advisors need to think about how clients are going to process the information to make it relevant to them. One thing I always talk to people about when I'm talking about the impact of financial planning and, quite frankly, the importance of it is a financial plan with no action or no implementation might as well have never happened, because we didn't get our clients to that next level to activate on those recommendations and really set them up for that better financial outcome or provide that roadmap to help them get to where they really want to be.
And how different do you expect things to be in this area from what's needed for practice at present?
I don't see a huge difference or any drastic changes. It's going to be really a combination of what we're doing really, really well today with the financial planning practice and just modernizing the approach. So again, those fundamental building blocks will remain critically important. Things like retirement planning, insurance, education planning, and other foundational advice we are going to bring forward, again, focusing on what we do really well on the technical side, but that evolution is going to come in the advice that we use to address that human component, right? So I think about delivering technical analysis, right, so that it's digestible and palatable for our clients. For me, that is really focused on taking out the financial jargon. Can I explain the impact of the financial planning concept I'm trying to illustrate without using, again, those words that we use in our industry that might not be so common and something our consumers understand? And I think that we can do this by making it less intimidating, right? This makes the client feel really welcome in the conversation, and it provides a safe space to ask questions and really engage in a conversation, right? Creating a collaborative approach, right? This is really where I think planning practitioners have the greatest impact, and we really have the ability to move the practice forward.
So my next question is for Miles. Miles, Amy's talking about a more collaborative approach between the financial planner and the client. Can you talk about how the OECD and other financial literacy players are developing and promoting national and global financial literacy strategies? And is there a similar opportunity for more collaborative approaches when developing these programs to benefit the public?
Sure, thanks for the question, Janet. Yes, at the OECD, we lead policy development work relating to best practices for financial literacy, including the development and implementation of national financial literacy strategies. And we know that many countries around the world have developed national financial literacy strategies to really guide and direct their efforts and to make sure that all stakeholders are able to contribute and collaborate and work together to deliver better financial education and to improve the financial literacy of our citizens, families, individuals, and communities. I think it's probably important to say that collaboration is absolutely essential to and is embedded in the idea of effective financial education. And the recommendation that I mentioned sets out, as I say, high-level policy and best practices, encapsulates the importance of collaboration. And there's really two levels of collaboration, I suppose. One is at a sort of a national strategic level, and one is at the level of program design and then delivery. So in terms of the national strategic level, the recommendation makes it clear that all stakeholders with an interest in making sure that people have access to good quality financial information and are able to make informed and confident financial decisions have a role to play in supporting the national strategy. So obviously in terms of public sector bodies, that includes central banks, regulators, and other authorities that work in this space. And in the private sector, that includes all the different types of financial services providers, including financial planners, that can get involved and collaborate and work together to support the goals of the national strategy. Specifically in the recommendation, it talks about, in terms of the role of financial services firms, for example, that they have an important role to provide support to strategies and programs, particularly through national industry associations or other collective groups, to contribute to codes of conduct, the development of codes of conduct that might have provisions relating to implementing or supporting financial education, perhaps alongside a professional service. And of course, the important aspect of distinguishing between marketing activities and educational activities, and ensuring that educational activities are independent and impartial and genuinely designed to support the financial well-being of consumers. So at a program level, in terms of program design and implementation, collaboration is also key. The best financial literacy programs, and this is all outlined in the recommendation as well, are designed very much with the target audience in mind, whichever that target audience is. And by that, I mean, the best programs are developed in consultation with the target audiences through seeking feedback, through testing programs, and of course, having a component of valuation at the end to make sure that the program actually met the needs of the people that were targeted by the program and it achieved its goals. And so I think through all of these ways, there's collaboration is absolutely vital. And there's lots of scope for everybody to get involved and support national strategies on financial education. Thank you.
So the next question is for Vasco. Looking at it from the consumer protection side as a regulator, what's your view on the current landscape and trends when it comes to the public engaging the financial services marketplace? And what could the financial community or other financial advisors do to support efforts to protect the public?
Thank you, Janet, for the question. I think before we talk about the financial advice community, I think I have to mention the unprecedented conditions that are living today with social distance measures implemented by countries and the radical transformation of technology and societies during the pandemic. We also can see the unexpected behaviors from consumers and investors, and with all new bunch of risks arising from capital markets and other financial markets. And as regulators, we are all pay attention to some recent phenomenon, which is the retail investors that are diving into the stock markets, the crypto assets frenzy, with a lot of scams and also opportunities, but a lot of financial fraud happening in different countries, and sometimes targeting new investors, or that not only in terms of generation, that it's more open to technology, but also senior investors that are in the accumulation phase that might want to perhaps have a better return, and also are risking their financial reserves into new products, sometimes not well known. So there are a lot of concerns that this new scenario, I think, has. It's something that all regulators across the globe are paying attention to and are trying to work together through IOSCO to foster investor protection. I just want to mention that, for example, in Brazil, we saw since 2017, the number of retail investors moved from 500,000 in the stock exchange to 4 million investors in just 4 years, and 500,000 new investors in just 6 months. So this can be explained by the low interest rates, the rising the number of digital platforms for investing, and this cultural change with a new generation of investors with new attitudes. And they are more open to new technologies and also to different considerations when making financial decisions, not only on risk and return. So in this post-pandemic world, it has been said that we need to rebuild better. So I think that this also applies to financial markets. We also have the same opportunity, regulators, financial planners, and market professionals, in order to rebuild trust and confidence in a better way. So I think that we have an opportunity to use these new technologies, take into account ethical considerations, particularly because the frontier technologies are surging, and sometimes in a faster pace than the regulation can adapt. So it's important to have these ethical considerations from market participants, so sometimes they can go beyond just complying with the rule. So, and I think that I just want to mention that this was a question that I had in the past. I was always thinking about why we got so few complaints, investors' complaints as a regulator about financial advisors in Brazil, especially those that are certified by FPSB. And based on initially I thought that because, we have few CFPs in Brazil, not so many, and this market is small, so that's why, but that changes. But now we have a lot of financial planners in Brazil, new investors, but still the trend continues. So I think, based on my experience, that the fact that the certified financial planners have to adhere to ethical concerns, it's not only a question of experience and capacity, but also the ethical considerations is playing a big and important role to deal with this surge of new investors in Brazil and providing, I think, a very good service to consumers. So I think that the financial planning community currently is well adapted to the new circumstances, but still we have some challenges ahead.
Thank you. Amy, the next question is back to you. Over the next 5 years, what do you think will be the greatest value financial planning professionals can provide to clients?
Absolutely, Janet. This is my favorite topic because this is really why I love what I get to do every day. And the biggest benefit we offer clients is really that clarity that the planning process creates. And quite frankly, for me, it's the peace of mind to move forward and make well-informed financial decisions. I always think knowledge is power. And the more informed our clients are, the better decisions they make, creating better financial outcomes. I guess one example would be, think about retirement. You can't retire and then look back a few years ago and say, wait, I wish I would have asked this question, or I wish I would have known about this. To me, this is the value the financial planner brings. We're able to address these questions and highlight even some gaps that clients might not be thinking about. Most importantly, there is not a one-size-fits-all approach. It's all about taking individual circumstances, goals, quite frankly, desires, concerns, all into the holistic financial pictures and really talking to them about their options. It is having them understand, if they make this decision today, what is the impact to their overall financial plan? And if things don't look the way they want them to, this is our opportunity to help them identify trade-offs, talk about some different options that they may have if they really want to achieve a certain goal. That is truly, I think, the benefit that our financial planners bring today is the ability to talk to an expert, right? So I think about going to the doctor. I'm not a medical doctor, so I go see my doctor when I need them because that is their area of expertise. financial wellness is no different. That is exactly what a financial planning practitioner is here to do, is they're here to help you, understand and diagnose what's going on in your financial life. And so I really, really do love when I get to see, our clients after we finish our financial planning meeting and they say, I feel so much better. Thank you for helping me understand. I'm so glad I actually took the leap and had this session with you because it's been, so informative. That to me is rewarding and where we make the biggest impact. And so it's empowering, not only from our perspective because we're making a difference, but it's empowering also for our clients because sometimes I think financial planning can be somewhat intimidating for people. And so for us to be able to provide a really, again, collaborative, safe space to engage in that conversation really enables our clients and the people we interact with to be better equipped for today and tomorrow and for their future decisions.
Thank you, Mimi. And Miles, the next question is for you. The OECD issues several global reports, some that measure financial literacy, financial inclusion, including elements of financial resilience, and a newly created score on financial well-being. Can you tell us about your findings? What are the implications for the global financial planning community?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Janet. Yes, the OECD leads and conducts a lot of data collection and analysis on financial literacy levels and related areas, including financial resilience and financial well-being. In terms of financial literacy, we have conducted a number of surveys of levels of adult financial literacy looking across different countries. And the most recent data research that we published was last year when we coordinated research across 26 countries and economies involving more than 125,000 consumers as participants. So this was looking at financial literacy levels, and I suppose it's probably important to mention that by financial literacy, I'm talking about a combination of behaviors, skills, and attitudes towards money, not really just sort of what people know. Can they define an interest rate, for example? But what are their attitudes to money? What are their behaviors towards money? And what skills do they have? And of course, this survey looked at a range of different things, but particularly perhaps relevant for this conversation, looking at issues linked to financial planning behaviors and attitudes. One of the things that we found was that on average, across the countries, across the board, there was fairly good awareness of the need for people to save, particularly saving for a rainy day fund. Over about 70% of adults were aware of this and attempted to do this, to sort of make regular savings. So that's obviously really good news. On the other hand, less than half of the respondents, the data showed that less than half of the people involved in the survey had actually made a long-term plan for their financial future. So people are aware of the need for savings, perhaps for today, or the things that they want, in the immediate term. But the idea of a longer-term financial plan was not so much in their sort of skill set. And I think that sort of accords very nicely, actually, with the theme of Financial Planning Day: live your today, plan your tomorrow. And I think that also shows where there is a real opportunity for financial planners, of course, because, of course, many consumers, investors, this is where financial planners can really make a difference, as Amy was just saying, in terms of long-term financial plans and particularly retirement planning as well. In terms of financial resilience, and I think it is important to acknowledge, as Vasco has done, that, of course, we are having this conversation, and for the last many months, we've been dealing with the impact of the global pandemic, and that has impacted on people's finances in a number of different ways. Looking at financial resilience, which is really about the ability for people, households, to withstand financial shocks or recover from negative financial shocks. Some of the findings that we have found in our work there is that financial stress is common. Nearly half of people worry about meeting everyday living expenses. They're concerned about their financial situation and getting by financially. Across the board, about a third of people have a low ability to meet financial shocks. For example, we asked people whether they would be able to survive for 1 week financially if they lost their main source of income, and many are not able to do that, or say they're not able to do that. And also, about 4% of respondents say that they have been the victims of a financial fraud or a financial scam. And because we know underreporting in that area is common, it could of course be many more times that. So I think these sorts of figures and these results show that there's plenty of scope for improvement. There's plenty of scope to support individuals, families, and communities in terms of their financial well-being. In terms of some of the particularly target groups, or the groups where there are perhaps differences in financial literacy levels and financial well-being results, we see that on average men tend to have higher levels of financial literacy than women. So that, I think, suggests a need, and I know that many in the financial planning community are focused on financial planning for women. Another target group, or another group in the community where we tend to see lower levels of financial literacy, is amongst young people. Well, on the one hand, that's not all that surprising if they haven't had experience to interact with financial products and services. But on the other hand, I think we see that the value, again, of financial planning, long-term planning for young people from an early age, particularly in terms of retirement savings, is obviously, and I don't need to tell anyone in the financial planning community how important that is. So I think there's a really good opportunity for financial planners to sort of understand these sort of areas or opportunities and see how they can support them. I think in terms of the implications for financial planners more broadly, of course, financial literacy is looking at people's financial situation as a whole, from credit, insurance, as well as sort of investment products and investment advice. And so I hope that these sorts of results will resonate with financial planners and perhaps assist them in terms of understanding their clients' sort of the situation, their financial situation generally. Of course, financial planners gather all that information, but understanding that perhaps at a broader population level might help. And of course, financial planners have an opportunity to support financial education programs at a national level, at a local level, whatever it might be. But hopefully that's given you a brief overview of some of the key facts and figures from our research. Thank you.
It has. Thank you very much. And our next question again is for Mr. Vasco. Vasco, IOSCO has written that today's euphoria about the new economy and technology investing is nothing new, and history shows that heightened speculation has always accompanied innovative and dynamic times. Now, the COVID-19 pandemic seems to have sped up the world's digitalization even further. What are regulators doing globally to protect investors and preserve investor confidence in the current markets? And where might regulators need to focus over the next 5 years?
Thank you, Janet. Yes, I do agree that this is nothing new, but perhaps the new technologies change a little bit, the current circumstances. I'd say that the new technologies are providing more information and investment options than ever before. So, and this not necessarily has increased the quality of this information, neither the quality of the financial decisions. So these new digital platforms for investments, combined with lowered securities commissions and the euphoria associated with new technology, can drive new patterns or new types of misconduct. And it seems that this is happening. This is something that is in our radar screen as regulators. This might not be directly attributed to COVID, but it creates market conditions and an environment that I'm sure provided increased opportunities for particular types of behavior by firms and pressures that increase the risk of misconduct. So regulators across the globe, through IOSCO leadership, are working on more proactive monitoring of investor behavior and offerings that are targeting vulnerable investors. There is an increased scrutiny of certain firm behavior by regulators that will consider those behaviors as a flag for potential misconduct. And this will be particularly important on financial advice and also on the design of digital platforms. I think it's important to mention a C8 report, an IOSCO report on digital platforms in 2019. We carry out a desktop research, and we've found that there are a lot of techniques that digital platforms can imply for using big data and machine learning that can help to sell their products, but not necessarily to fit the needs of investors. So the design of these new platforms, considering insights from behavioral science, I think this also poses a challenge for regulators that need to pay attention to learn about these new finds of the behavioral sciences and try to consider those insights in our own regulation and supervision. So I think these are trends for the next 5 years that will be very important to shape the future of financial markets.
Thank you. And Amy, the next question is for you. The FPSB's global research showed CFP professionals globally are embracing technology as an enabler that will help them spend more time with clients doing financial planning and less time on administrative tasks. Yet others say you can't replace face-to-face. What's your view on how technology is impacting practice, and how are successful financial planners going to use the technology now and in the future?
Absolutely. There's no argument that the landscape of how we engage in financial interactions has changed, and the global pandemic has really propelled us forward in that. And quite frankly, also in our personal lives as well, right? And so, no, I don't believe that video interaction can replace face-to-face contact. But I really do think it's a close second. And I love that even on this panel today, Janet, Miles, Vasco, we can see each other, we can interact. And I think that's the same great things that we can bring into the financial planning interaction. You can look at your clients and look at their facial expressions. You can gauge to see, are they understanding the information that you're delivering, right? Going back to Miles, we talk about financial literacy. This is a great way to understand if the information you are relaying in that conversation is truly resonating with that client, or if you need to maybe pivot and try and explain it in a different way. I think video is a great way to understand that. And so to me, that really, again, goes to something I said at the beginning, in that it's financial planning practitioners need to build EQ into their practice when working with clients virtually, because it does change the engagement some. But again, I love being able to see someone's face. And additionally, I think that doing planning virtually is still very interactive, and it lets us get more done. I think about, a traditional setting perhaps where you schedule a meeting, you drive to the office or wherever you're meeting, you probably have to fight some traffic, you're building it into your schedule throughout the day and you're busy. And so to me, I actually think that these are the beautiful constraints that we're able to use to increase that overall impact by the number of clients we reach every day and the quality of those interactions. We can spend a full 60 minutes together talking about your financial plan because you don't have to build in, again, that commute time or something like that. The other piece I love is that I believe technology and this video interaction actually reduces barrier to entry, and it allows people to become part of the conversation, maybe in a way that they didn't feel comfortable doing before. So I think about if you have a couple, and as Miles said, women tend to not maybe feel as comfortable, feel as financial literate as men. I love that in our financial planning interactions, that spouse is invited to the conversation and they can listen, they can hear, and that we're weaving them into that in a way that is preferable for them. And so, again, you can even bring kids into the conversation. If you're talking about estate planning, think about how you can exponentially increase your conversation by just leveraging video. We're doing it all across the world today. There's no reason you can't have a financial planning interaction with your client in one state or country and their children in another. So really, I'd say let's change the mindset and think about, okay, given where we're at today, how can I really increase and leverage technology for the benefit of financial planning delivery? Last but not least, I think that it's fun. I love that we get to see the human side of clients and, quite frankly, our financial planning practitioners. So, I've been wondering today if my dog is going to walk by in the background, or maybe you're going to hear her bark. But that's real life. I love when I see, a client's kids or grandchildren come walk through the screen or wave hello and smile. To me, that is the human element of really who our clients are. And I love that we get to make those connections through video during that financial planning process.
Thank you, Amy. And for Miles, the next question. As technology increasingly becomes our memory, it allows us not to have to remember all the things we used to, phone numbers, birthdays, names. Is the future of financial literacy just-in-time financial education, obviating the need to spend so much time trying to get the public to be financially literate? And where do you see the biggest opportunities for financial literacy combined with technology?
Yeah, thanks, Janet. And I think digital technology and particularly we've seen through one of the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic has, of course, been a massive acceleration in people's use of digital transactions and digital payments. So everyone is online, everyone's transacting digitally. And that digitalization provides tremendous opportunities for effective financial education. Maybe not for everybody, but certainly for many, many people, and perhaps many more than before the pandemic. People are much more digitally capable and are now used to doing their transactions online. So the same obviously applies for financial literacy delivery. And we know that a lot of countries and a lot of providers of financial literacy programs are expanding and developing and innovating in terms of the delivery of financial literacy programs digitally. Now, that's obviously through a range of different channels. So there are, of course, websites, and there are a lot of really good websites out there. I mean, they've been around for a while. Increasingly, we're seeing the development of more sophisticated mobile apps, sort of budget tracking apps, for example. The advantage of these is, of course, or the opportunities of these is that, and to your point, they provide opportunities for your financial education tool, whatever that is, because as I say, financial education is much more than just knowledge. It's about the behaviors that you do, your attitude, the skills you have towards money. So it really supports people, digital mobile apps, through making the information more real time. Of course, there's opportunities to make it more interactive, more engaging, more appealing. It allows people to set reminders or warnings, or some of the apps obviously take some of the math side of it out of it for people, so that they can keep track of their budget, and the app or the tool does the work for them. We've also seen, and again, this predates the pandemic, but I think it's really been accelerated or enhanced by the greater number of people online. Use of social media platforms, both to disseminate financial literacy messages and obviously much beyond that as well, but also the development of financial literacy communities of people that are coming together. And the advantage of using social media is that it allows people to set goals, and the fact that you're working in a group and you've sort of got peers that are sort of working with you, we see that helps people to really achieve their goals, their financial goals. You feel that you're part of a community that are all learning and saving, or whatever your financial goal might be, together. To pick up on some of the points that Amy was making, I mean, in terms of financial literacy, there is, of course, greater use of e-learning platforms. And I think digital innovation, again, allows them to be more interactive, more engaging, and obviously to have a wider reach, because it's these days the technology is so good, people can connect, they can jump on a platform and be connected virtually. So I think there's a lot of opportunities, and we're seeing these opportunities being developed to support, for digitalization, to support effective delivery of financial literacy.
Thank you. And for Mr. Vasco, a few years ago, the buzzword was robo-advisors, and they were going to displace human advisors overnight. Not only has that not happened, but most robos were absorbed or created within financial advisory firms. And so now IOSCO is focused on artificial intelligence and machine learning. What's the regulatory concern with AI and ML? What's the regulatory expectation of the financial advice community in this area?
Yes, indeed. It did not replace. Actually, artificial intelligence and machine learning are being used as instruments, as tools for the financial advice community. And as I think it's a very interesting combination of technology and human touch. The regulators have been exploring how artificial intelligence and machine learning have been used in capital markets, and the new risks that may be emerging from the use of these new technologies. Definitely, we need to gain a better understanding of the potential areas where artificial intelligence and machine learning has been used by market participants and asset managers, particularly, may bring about new risks. So IOSCO, especially the FinTech network, has developed some guidance for regulators and has just published. It's a very good timing of this event because in last September, IOSCO has published a report on the use of artificial intelligence machine learning by market intermediaries and asset managers. And IOSCO, in this new report, has identified robo-advice as one of the AI/ML application with significant potential ethical implications. So the risks are various risks on governance of these technologies, the algorithm development, the testing, the ongoing monitoring. Sometimes something goes wrong and you have a good algorithm, but now the algorithm gets crazy. So it happened in Brazil with a platform. So a lot of investors that are really trusting the algorithm to put their orders, there are some problems and a lot of consequences, negative consequences of this malfunction happen in different market intermediaries in Brazil at the same time, because all market intermediaries are using the same algorithm. So it's an interesting consideration for regulators. So also data quality, bias, and transparency. But I think for the financial advice community, ethical concerns are the more important. Financial advice community needs, I think, a full adherence to certain principles, such as fairness, diligence, care, and respect. So because this profession, in my view, is built on trust. You need to build trust. Your advice can have an impact not only on an individual investors, but in a long-term financial well-being of a family. So it can have a long-term consequences, as people trust you, trust your advice. So considering that, I think that it will be important that financial community, advice community, tries to, by self-regulation, to adhere to some of those principles. As I have said, the regulation takes time to change. But my opinion is that perhaps in the short term, we might see more regulation on those aspects, especially on financial advice, because of its importance for a financial decision from an investor.
Thank you, Mr. Vasco. And as we're nearing the end of our conversation today, our next question is for Miles. National financial education literacy strategies can play a major role in raising awareness on the value of financial planning, but a lot of financial literacy programs are single topic focused rather than looking at how people can bring all areas of their financial life together into a financial plan. What are your views on financial literacy strategies to address a more integrated approach to handling finances? And what are the opportunities for the global financial planning profession beyond World Financial Planning Day?
Yeah, thanks, Janet. I mean, I suppose there's the simple answer to that is when it comes to financial literacy programs, which I say are about supporting people to develop healthy behaviors, attitudes, and skills towards all aspects of their money management. There's no one size fits all. Obviously, different people interact with different financial products and services depending on their personal circumstances, and so there are financial literacy programs that are very targeted and providing clear and objective information about a particular financial product or service that someone. It might be as simple as opening a bank account. For many people, that's sort of something they do infrequently, and that might be the extent of their financial transactions for many years. Of course, the national strategic approach does promote a holistic view and collaborative view to financial literacy as a whole and all aspects of a person's financial situation. I suppose the thing that's important to mention is, of course, financial literacy and supporting a greater financially literate population really complements and supports professional financial planning. I mean, of course, not everybody is going to see a professional financial planner. I mean, many people, their financial situation isn't perhaps such that that's what they need to do right now. I mean, that's probably a goal they might have in the future. But certainly for those that they do, I think having a more financially literate population, it identifies for people where they might need to see a financial planner, where they need help with a long-term financial plan or some aspect of their financial life that they need help with. But also it means that clients are better informed. They're more likely to be able to ask and have interactions with financial planners from a more informed base. So I think it's a really good complement that we have here. And so, yeah, I mean, just to sort of, I guess, recap, national financial literacy strategies are about a holistic and collaborative approach with lots of scope for all players to get involved and support the goal of promoting more financially literate population. Thank you.
Thank you, Miles. And just briefly for Mr. Vasco, we've led the IOSCO Committee on Retail Investors for several years, and we're the main promoter of the World Investor Week to the IOSCO board. What's your hope, your vision for financial literacy globally, and what additional things might the global financial planning profession do to partner with regulators on this issue?
Well, let's start by saying that I do think that FPSB is doing a fantastic job on investor education already. Was an early adopter of World Investor Week, and I think this is a testimony of FPSB values and the vision of the future. These had implications in different countries. In my own country, Brazil, as a regulator, we have a strong partnership with the local branch of FPSB Planejar, and we are partnering in different initiatives to deliver financial education content to investors in Brazil. And I do believe that World Investor Week is a platform for collaboration, not only among regulators, but also with FPSB and financial planner community across the globe. So I think that as we make progress towards sustainable development standards, that would mean that I hope by 2030, perhaps hundreds of millions of people will have their lives improved, the conditions, and with also on financial well-being. So, and this may implies especially in emerging countries, in hundreds of millions of people, of individuals that will be able to save and perhaps will need to invest. So it's an urgent thing as we move towards sustainable development, that we create a global culture of investment, changing the mindset, supporting protection goals, even supporting protection goals in more developed countries. So as SDG becomes more important, I think we all have an opportunity to work on SDG 4, which is ensure inclusive and equitable quality education for everyone. And financial education is our expertise, and we have this incredible opportunity to work together in this 2030 agenda. and using World Investor Week as a tool for such a goal. Thank you.
Thank you. And Amy, the final question today goes to you. The challenge for financial planning is that a lot of people around the world aren't aware of its value, but when people do understand financial planning, they value it highly. In your opinion, what can the global CFP professional community, in partnership with others, do to help the public around the world break through from lack of awareness to embracing financial planning?
Absolutely. And for me, this is really rooted in helping people understand that financial planning is an experience. It's not a task. It's not some worksheet that you complete, right? One of my favorite sayings is, we don't know what we don't know. And so the community should continue to focus on the education piece we provide in financial planning. And that is so valuable, and it'll be critical to the future and how we serve clients. Just to reiterate, financial literacy and education has always been part of the financial planning approach, and we can't do financial planning without weaving in that education and financial literacy piece. And we need to continue to tout that, because that is so important for our clients. When we're working with them, doing a financial plan, we're also educating them. So again, we want to change how the perception of that relationship is, because we're showing them how the pieces fit together. Again, going back to what I said earlier, it's about empowering them. So I love that we are taking people and helping them through the financial wellness journey, just the way they take care of their physical wellness. And I think Jose said it very, very good. And the best thing that we can continue to have success with and moving that conversation forward is talking about the relationships we create with financial planning practitioners and our clients. We are a coach. We are working side by side with clients, sharing this journey with them. And it's all about creating that trust in a relationship with someone where you're getting that guidance. Again, this is where you can ask the hard questions and they can give you the hard answers, because you've created that really strong foundation together. Again, we can also have some fun though. I love that about financial planning. So taking all of these great things and just shifting the mindset. Again, I think going back to that collaborative approach, that is the future of financial planning. That is how we're working with clients. And we need to help people understand that is truly our mission as practitioners. And we want financial planning to be for everyone. We want people to understand that we're here to help them not only where they're at in today, right, but also along life's journey. And we know that it's going to throw us the unexpected. Again, that's why you have someone that you're working with to help you guide you along that path, help you make the right decisions. And I think that people really, especially with what's happened in the last, year and a half, people realize that there is so much in the world that we cannot control, that is out of our hands, but there is something we can control, and that is our financial plan. We can control the decisions that we make as it relates to the various competencies our practitioners talk about. And it feels really good to help clients not only take that first step, but also to help them through all the subsequent steps of their financial lives. So what I know is that if we can get clients to have that first conversation, they're hooked. They see the value. They want to come back because they truly understand why we do what we do, and that our passion is helping them. And that is exactly why we have pursued this career. And so I really hope that something that we can continue to do as a community is just to help people see that what we do really is to better their today and help them own their tomorrow in the best way possible.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it was a wonderful conversation today. I'm afraid, however, that will have to be the last word. I'd like to thank each of you for a very insightful discussion and for helping us examine the future of client needs and advice delivery. On my part, I feel much better informed about how the recent changes in our world have impacted clients, impacted the financial planning profession. And it goes to say, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Despite the changes we've encountered, we still seem to be progressing forward. The financial planning profession is progressing forward, and clients are benefiting from the innovation and new ways of doing things that we're bringing to them. So thank you and well done, panel. Now I'd like to pass it back to FPSB CEO Noel May for some closing remarks. Noel?
Thank you, Janet, for a great job moderating such a lively, thought-provoking discussion. And to the members of our panel, thank you so much for sharing with us your views and hopes for the future of client needs and financial advice delivery. Our panel has given me, and I'm sure all of you joining today, plenty of food for thought. I particularly enjoyed hearing from Amy about how financial planning without action or without implementation might as well never have happened. And so today we heard from Amy not only a call to plan, but a call to action. But I also love this idea of fun and approachability, and we've got to make sure we're getting that message out to consumers as well. Miles talked a lot about the collaboration that comes with a lot of the financial literacy strategies nationally and globally that are taking place. And I think there's a tremendous opportunity for the global financial planning profession, for each of you in your territories, to support those national financial literacy strategies. And as Miles said, bring in that long-term planning approach to some of the discussions to really help people live their today and plan their tomorrow. And of course, I was delighted, Vasco, to hear your kind words about FPSB and our support and partnership with IOSCO over many years on World Financial Planning Day. But I also thought it was really a key message you shared that regulation is not keeping up with innovation. And so one of the tools for consumer protection is the idea of ethics and having an ethical community of financial advisors putting their clients' interests first. Again, a wonderful discussion, a lot of food for thought for us. The global CFP professional community is a dedicated and capable group that is committed to standards of professionalism and ethics and to putting clients' interests first for decades. I look forward to the conversations we will have following today's session with the FPSB network and with the global CFP professional community on how together we can future-proof the financial planning profession and CFP certification program so that we continue to benefit and serve the public through the current COVID-19 pandemic and for many more years afterwards. On behalf of the FPSB Board of Directors and the FPSB Network, to all of our viewers, and especially to our great global certified financial planner professional community, thank you for joining us today. To close out our World Financial Planning Day event, join me in watching a 1-minute inspirational video that demonstrates the value of financial planning and the value of working with a competent and ethical financial planner. Good day to you all. Let's take a look.
Every day, financial planners all over the world help people take control of their financial lives, empowering them to navigate an increasingly complex world, feel more confident, and stay on track to achieve their goals. It all begins with a plan. Financial planning is the process of developing strategies to manage all aspects of your financial situation to help achieve your life goals. And a financial plan is a roadmap to manage it all, including saving, investing, and how to achieve goals such as buying a home, funding education, or securing your retirement. The global community of certified financial planner professionals help people to stay on track with their financial lives. CFP professionals commit to global standards of competence, ethics, and professionalism, and to putting their clients' interests first. People who work with financial planners, particularly those who work with CFP professionals, are better prepared for the financial opportunities that life brings. And those who have a financial plan are 3 times more likely to feel confident about achieving their goals. For a financial planner who has committed to standards of ethics and professionalism, look for the CFP mark. Find a CFP professional to help live your today and plan your tomorrow. Visit Financial Planning Standards Board at fpsb.org to learn more.